Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Jeff, are you going to take Ted DiBiase's money and turn on me?
Oh, it's something nowadays, like the $1 million corporation, it's not a whole lot of money. And so, I'd probably still, I'd have to give it some thought though. You never know, especially big stage, SummerSlam, just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was kind of a $1 million corporation mark growing up. I mean, I liked it. I liked the idea of DiBiase in the manager role and had these big, nasty heels. And I thought it was kind of fun, but man, we'll get it.
It was a great character. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good. And yeah, still to this day, I like former full-time wrestlers in managerial roles. And I think that it's a device that should be used more often. I don't know. I don't know why it's not, but it's like there feels like there could be a role for a Kurt Angle on television, right? Like guys that current fans remember. They're great on the mic, and they lend credibility to the superstar. And in a pinch, they can still take a bump. You know what I mean? Like, right, they're not like super old, but it's like, if they needed to take a, bump off the apron, they still could. They don't need to wrestle a match, but anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Luger, Tatanka. It's on our list because we spoke to Tatanka, who we'll watch the match with. Hell of a nice guy. Had some really good insights into this match, turning heel, which we'll get into. But that was, that's the reason why we picked this match. We looked at his breadth of work, and this is one of the more famous matches of his career because he turned heel, and he was never going to turn heel, and he was a baby face's baby face. So this is a fun one. I'm looking forward to get into it. Are you ready for the build?
I am.
All right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so SummerSlam 1994, Chicago, United Center, 23,000 in attendance, buy rate of 300,000. They're trying here. They're trying.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Let me tell you something interesting about this show. You look through the card. Let me go through the card first, and then I'll point out something that I feel is a significant missed opportunity. Dark match is Adam Bomb defeating Quang, who we know is Savio Vega. We start off with Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS, who are part of the $1 Million Corporation, defeating the Head Shrinkers by DQ in 7 minutes. Head Shrinkers, the Bloodline. We there was a faction sitting there for us 30 years ago, and we didn't even see it. Alundra Blaze is going to keep her women's championship against Bull Nakano in 8 minutes. Razor Ramon is going to defeat Diesel for the IC championship. Shawn Michaels is going to cost Diesel by an inadvertent super kick. Tatanka and Lex Luger is the match we're going to cover. Jeff Jarrett would then defeat Mabel in 5 minutes. So Mabel loses in 5 minutes to Jeff Jarrett. A year later, as a heel, he's headlining WrestleMania against Diesel.
Crazy.
Semi-main event, Bret Hart. Final blow-off to the feud, defeats Owen Hart in a steel cage match. As we covered this match, it was excellent. It was a very, very, very good match. Obviously, a great feud.
Yep.
And then the Undertaker, the real Undertaker, is going to defeat the fake Undertaker, who is accompanied by Ted DiBiase in 8 minutes. So Ted DiBiase is managing a team at the beginning. He's part of a big heel turn in the middle of the show. And then in the main event, his guy, fake Undertaker's losing to real Undertaker. What a show. I will say, how you have Shawn Michaels on a show without him wrestling is a significant missed opportunity. Now, interestingly enough, also on the show is a host was Macho Man. So imagine this card with Shawn Michaels versus the Macho Man. You talk about that not being a missed opportunity. I get the youth movement. I will just forever say, how do you not figure out a way to do something with the Macho Man? And just say to him, Randy, how often do you want to work? Well, I want to work 20 matches a year, 50 matches a year. I don't want to do house shows, whatever. How do you not figure that out? And it's just, you say, oh, well, there was a youth movement. And so what? There was Brett and there was Shawn and there was Taker and blah, blah, blah. But remember something. Randy Savage went to WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan went to WCW. They came this close to putting Vince out of business. So, you say, oh, well, it all worked out. It all worked out, but it almost didn't work out. And it would have been a hell of a lot better for Vince. And again, 2020 hindsight, I've got Hogan, I've got Savage, I've got 2 Babe Ruths here. How do I use them on a part-time basis? Now, again, ultimate 2020 hindsight, imagine in 94, Hogan, I don't want to work a full-time schedule. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do with you. We're going to turn you heel. And you're only going to show up sometimes. And you're going to have a Hollywood gimmick. And you're going to say you don't need to be on TV every week. You don't want to go to the house shows. You don't want to travel the world. You could be the biggest heel in maybe the history of the business if we play this right.
Yep.
Now you could go back to Hogan Savage because Savage is your good guy, which of course there was still money in. So it's just interesting to think about. But yeah, the Hogan Savage thing, it almost put Vince out of business versus just keeping them around, putting them in some big matches and, heel Hogan versus babyface Bret Hart. You're telling me there's not money in that? You're telling me there's not money in Savage versus Shawn Michaels? Diesel Hogan?
Yeah.
Razor Savage? So it was, it all worked out, but it almost didn't work out. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did we get to Tatanka, Lex Luger with Ted DiBiase involved?
Yeah, so this one, like you said, kind of, looking at the card, everything kind of gets overshadowed by Brett and Owen, but this was still, trying to tell a story here at the time, it was pretty good. And so, kind of looking at this one, and so this SummerSlam taking place August 29th, 1994. This one is the storyline here was back in July, about a month and a half prior to the show. You had the storyline where you had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, saying that Lex Luger has joined his $1 Million Corporation, of course, part of the stable on this one. You had, though, kind of leading up to this one, Tatanka kind of confronting Luger, telling him he had sold out, like, that we shouldn't be doing it, just kind of all these different things to kind of they were working together. Now, this led, though, to Luger, though, saying that while he had met with Ted DiBiase, that he had denied that he was joining the $1 Million Corporation. And so this kind of weird back and forth they were happening, like, is he, isn't he, what's happening? Tatanka not, convinced. And so that's how they decided, settle it in the ring. So that's what we're going to do. And so to figure out what happened, Tatanka, Lex Luger at SummerSlam to kind of decide, okay, what's the true story here? What's happening? What's going on? And so that's how we got there. Tight little build, kind of makes sense with kind of what was happening and what was going on. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Well, I'm looking forward to covering this one. We've got Tatanka on as our guest. I'm going to watch the match with him. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about what we thought of the match and the events that took place after.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the payoff.
Ho! It's time for the payoff.
All right, this is the payoff, and we are here with Tatanka. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's welcome to join all the great listeners on the payoff.
All right, so here we are, SummerSlam 1994, a very pivotal moment in your career as we get started watching this match. And the first thing that's going to happen here is we have a promo that airs, and it's you and Luger. You know, one of the things I went back in my research that I don't want to say I didn't realize, but I didn't remember how good you were on the mic. Were you comfortable doing promos? And, you know, back then, was that something that was just you were thinking of, or were you given bullet points? Tell everyone about you delivering promos back in the 90s.
Okay, well, let me explain that. That's a great question that you just brought up. And again, you've picked some great matches over these segments that we've talked with, from Shawn Michaels to The Miz to now this one. Look at both of us standing here. Look at Luger. Look at the character. Look at the shape of the guys. You know, both of us. Look at the difference of the show. It's just tremendous. It draws you right in. I'm getting drawn right in again. But I've got a lot to say about this, because this is one of the times of my career that has brought up the most. The turn with Lex Luger and the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Now, what's great about our era, you're talking about an interview as we're watching. What is great here is this. Vince McMahon would be standing there, would be in front of a camera. All he would say is, for example, Tatanka, you and Lex, SummerSlam, 6 weeks out. That would be it. Okay? Would sit there and think for a minute, get in front of the camera, and boom, they'd cut the camera on. Now, you know why the interviews are so different today?
That was my next question. Yeah, tell us.
Because we did not sit there and be given a script from creative, like a movie script, that you're trying to remember someone else's words, that are trying to put those words inside of you. All of us, all these great superstars that you see, all of them have a special talent, and it's always greater when you allow that person to bring that true inner self out instead of being told how to do an interview. We were never told verbatim, word for word. We knew the guidelines, meaning we knew, you know, for SummerSlam, we knew what was coming up. We knew that it was focused on the $1 Million Man. Did you take the money? Did you not? But we did not have it verbatim. So what we did is we spoke truth, what was inside of us. So fans felt it more. They got more emotionally tied to it. Where today, you're given a script and you're walking back in the back locker room trying to learn these words. And then when you speak them, instead of being able to be true and be able to have that great Macho Man interview, or Jake the Snake Roberts, or Hulk Hogan brother, you know, all of those great interviews that made those people who were they were, you're trying to remember what someone else said. That's the reason the interviews were so awesome then, because they were true. They were part of us, and fans emotionally got tied to them. Now, guys are just talking, man. They're just talking. And not trying to say anything negative, but man, what a different interview time from then, meaning World Wrestling Federation, to today's WWE.
So who told you were going to turn heel, and what was your reaction?
Here, it was tremendous. As we talked before, you asked the question, how much were you involved with Vince McMahon? While I was at TV, I'm walking down the hall after finishing a match. Who calls me other than the man, the icon, the pioneer, than Vince McMahon himself? I walk into a locker room, just Vince and I only, not a ton of producers, not a ton of other people. He says, I want to talk to you about something. I want to run something by you. This whole storyline was just not about turning heel, that everyone truly did love, though, because even though they hated it, They loved it because we entertained the fans. They were totally shocked. That's the reason why it went so well, because they thought that Luger was going to be the one. But Vince McMahon said, listen, he calls himself the All-American. But you, Tatanka, you and your people, you're the true Americans. That's the reason why you're going to do what you're doing here. Yes, I was turning heel, of course. But it was about, you're not the All-American. My people are the true Americans. What are you talking about? And because of that, we made him pay the ultimate price with $1 Million Man and myself. And it's tremendous you have this video, because someone just posted this just a couple days ago on social media. I took the time to go through it, and I was absolutely shocked how awesome a match this was. I was absolutely shocked how much heat and how much beat down I did with Lex afterwards. You got heels today that will beat the guy, give him one or two things, and walk away. It was a beat down. It was a serious beat down to all the way to the end, stuffing the $100 bill in Lex's mouth. What a great heel turn. You don't see this anymore. Think about it. When have you seen a heel turn that you see not only do you fool the people, but the heel just lays the wood to the babyface? Lex got a beating afterwards. I watch this and says, oh my God. Like I said, you don't get a chance to see all this, and fans are constantly reminding you. So you take the time and look and you go, wow, what a tremendous SummerSlam. What a swerve, and what a tremendous ending to really lay the wood to Lex Luger. It was tremendous.
Did you want to turn heel? Were you happy about it?
Well, Vince, seeing in my eyes when he was talking to me about it, and he says, okay, he gave the first layout, and he goes, listen, that's when he said, Tatanka, he says, again, it's about you being the true American. He's calling himself the All-American, but I just want to let you know now, I see your look in your eye. I know you're a baby face. You're concerned about your merchandise sales. Don't worry about it. You'll still be taken care of. Don't worry about it. Because when you go heel, you know that you're not going to be that person with all the merchandise out there signing, doing all the kind of things that the baby faces are doing. So Vince said, don't worry about it. And he went over it again. And then I realized, man, a lot of guys play one side of the track. They're a great baby face their whole life. But, man, if you can turn and do a great job on the other side, man, you've made full circle in the professional wrestling business. And I was very honored because Vince has told me something that's tremendous, which I take great honor to hear from him, since all this time. He said, there's nothing you can't do. And to hear that from a Vince McMahon, Vincent Kennedy and McMahon, that's a tremendous honor to hear someone of his level say there's nothing that you can't do. So again, going to the opposite side and doing an awesome job of it, it truly shows the talent that one has.
So a year prior to this, Luger was in the main event against Yokozuna. They didn't give him the title. Do you think at some point during his reign they should have gone a little further with him and gave him the title? Or do you think that it just, for whatever reason, he wasn't ready for it or he wasn't the best guy to have it?
Well, I don't know exactly. I mean, they were big on Luger. I mean, come on. The Luger Express, you take a bus all around the country. You do all that filming time. You're being used prime time all the time. They're focusing about the all-American Lex Luger. I mean, come on. They show how long was he doing on that tour bus for? So they were definitely high on Lex Luger. Don't forget, mega superstar coming from the WCW. But I think there was a couple things that were going on around this time, okay? And I think what one of them is that I think they got wind because me and Lex never went to a major pay-per-view to finish off our feud. Our feud was done on a Monday Night Raw in a cage. Something of this nature would have made its full circle back to a pay-per-view. And the reason for that is during that time, don't forget, Lex and certain guys were speaking to the WCW. You remember WCW were taking great stars at that time. This is 94, right around 95. This is when they started talking to guys. By 96, they were already running with our stars. So I think maybe they weren't sure about Luger, his contract, if he was happy, but man, they definitely gave him the TV time. So I'm not sure why they did not want to give him the belt. Maybe it's just because at that time too, Vince was real big on big guys who could play the part and be believable in the ring. Don't forget, Yokozuna at that time was 560 pounds. Hard to beat a man of that nature.
Yeah, he was unbelievable, and I know you worked some matches with him too. I mean, the amount of athleticism he had at his size was just unbelievable.
But it comes down to, again, that Samoan blood. All these Samoans could wrestle their butt off. All of them. From Sammy, Fatu, with the head shrinkers, Alpha, Sika, The Rock, Barbarian, Haku, all of these guys, man, they can wrestle their butts off. And Yokozuna was tremendous. I worked with him, and he would nail me to the mat. We'd both go to the floor. I'd get up, and I'd turn around. Yokozuna was already up. Tremendous, just a tremendous athlete. So, again, that could have had a lot to do with, again, Lex not having that title. But let me tell you something, too, about titles, okay, from that era, too. There's a lot of great superstars that never held a title. And sometimes fans instantly look at that and go, well, they didn't hold a title. But then also we explain to the fans, guess what? The reason certain guys never held the title because they were so good at what they did, they didn't need that tool to go around their waist to help them get to where they needed to get to. Because the belt is truly a tool. If someone's not where they need to be, they give that belt and they go a little bit higher and go over the top. But if you're talented enough not to have that belt, that speaks volumes about you.
So you were riding around with The Undertaker. What's something that would maybe surprise fans about him? I mean, obviously you got to know him really well.
Well, Mark is just the way that he's always been. I mean, Mark is a tremendous guy, country boy, again, a tremendous icon and superstar in our industry, will always be remembered. I'd have loved to see him go undefeated for WrestleMania. But again, like we talked earlier on one segment, sometimes they take that great stardom, that great success, and pass it on to someone else like a Brock because they're doing something. But again, all I could tell you about Undertaker, just a tremendous guy, like to just enjoy, meaning just spend time with the boys, laugh. He's always enjoyed this business. I mean, he's done tremendous in this industry. Again, what a character, especially when he first came out. I was there to see the magic. I was there, the original Undertaker with the purple and gray, I was there to just watch that character and watch that building totally change when it went dong, his music. So again, it was always a pleasure to be with Undertaker. It was just fun to be with. He loved this industry. We would drive up and down the road and speak about this industry all the time. There's really no surprises with Undertaker to tell the fans. He was just, always again, the company man, thinking about the business, just a good old boy is what I would have to say about The Undertaker. A lot of people look at him as the dead man Undertaker, but there was a side of Undertaker that he was just a good old boy, and who he decided to hang with would be his friends, and we would just go out and have a good time afterwards, eating, sitting at the hotel, driving. We did a lot of driving during that time, my friend. So we would talk wrestling up and down the road. Again, I mentioned being on the road 300 days a year. You want to be around someone that is not going to be a problem, that you feel like, you're at home, you're happy. You don't want to be around people who are a headache, or they bring out the worst in you. So me and Undertaker we just meshed at that time.
So you turned heel. Obviously, you're attacking Luger now. What did you think about working with DiBiase, and what did you think of that $1 million corporation faction?
Well, here's one thing that I've been told so many times. I mean, look at this beatdown. This is a true heel. There's not one or two. It's like, I am on you. I'm going to destroy you. This is a heel turn. Making someone pay greatly, showing them who's the boss. It was tremendous to be able to be working with the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Come on, mega superstar. Everyone knew Teddy. Doing the World Wrestling Federation. He had the limos, had the jets, had primetime TV. To be able to work with this man, that's a great honor. And what's been told to me by the WWE Universe, during that time, the $1 million corporation, what a stable we had.
Yeah.
It was major. They should have done so much more with that stable. I mean, the people are booing right now. I can't tell you. This match was tremendous, the response that we got. You know, how people were booing, how they hated this. They couldn't believe it. You know, but they could have done so much more with the $1 million corporation. Look at the talent we had in there. Bunday, okay? Myself, you know, Kama, which is, again, the Godfather, Papa Shango, Sid Vicious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, we had a stable that could just destroy. They could have done so much more with the $1 million corporation. But again, I'm honored just not to be able to turn heel, but to be able to be under one of the greatest managers of all time and a WWE Hall of Famer. Again, the man himself, the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase.
When I remember watching this, the big thing for me was you were such a baby face, right? So to go from that to like a big time heel and do this turn, it wasn't just that you turned heel, it was that it was just such a stark contrast. And you went back in the ring after this and beat him up even more.
Exactly. And that's how you do it. You're leaving. The fans think you're leaving. You get down there. You're doing all these things. Again, the TV shots, okay, that Vince wants, that shot, we stop, like what you see right here, and go back in. That's what a heel would do. That's how you lay a beating down. Not that, oh, I'm tired. You leave it all in the ring. It's totally different, man. Today's wrestling to that. And talking about hitting, there you go. It ain't like today. It's a total different game, man. We were very, what do you want to say, snug during that time? You know, you had a lot of guys that were just tough guys in the ring. I mean, wrestling guys like Bam Bam Bigelow, who, again, was a bounty hunter in his previous life before coming into the wrestling industry. And, again, look at the character. How did we finish Lex off? The $1 million sleeper, the $1 million dream. Come on. You know, I mean, character. We played the character fully all the way to the end, even with the stuffing of the $100 bill.
Oh, yeah, you went all the way here. I mean, you look radically different. I mean, just, you know, it's not like you just started attacking the good guy. I mean, your mannerisms are different. You're laying in the punches differently. Your facial, I mean, you look like a different person.
Exactly.
And that's your face. That's not easy to do.
No, and that's what shows that Vince McMahon's watching us. They're commentating, and Vince is probably laughing, going, oh, my gosh. I knew they could do it, and, man, they just did it. They just pulled it off to a T because he's sitting there commentating. It was me and him, one-on-one. Nobody else with this idea. Vince McMahon, he's seen that we could do it. Again, that has a lot to say when Vince puts that kind of trust in with you to, again, work with a man, as you see right now, Lex Luger, okay, one of the greatest superstars in this industry, WCW, WWE, and then myself and the $1 million man. He trusted all of us to make this happen. Look at me. I'm getting ready to even beat the agent's butt, okay? Don't come down here bothering me, you know? We're doing something here. So, again, just a tremendous time. But, again, we didn't get an opportunity to practice this. So here you are showing everybody, hey, I knew that you knew it was Luger. Everyone thought it was Luger because he had always been the heel. But I'd never been a heel. I was a fan favorite at this time. But Ken Tatanka pulled it off where I proved to everyone, to the wrestling world, that, yes, I could.
All right, so as we wrap things up here, I just got some rapid-fire questions for you and really appreciate you sharing all this great information. What's your favorite match of all time that you've been part of?
Well, any wrestler is going to tell you their favorite match is always on the grandest stage of all, which is WrestleMania. So I'd have to definitely say WrestleMania 8 and 9. 8 with Rick the Model Martel for my first World Wrestling Federation WrestleMania victory, and, of course, WrestleMania 9 with Shawn Michaels.
And how good was it for you to return at WrestleMania 32 in that Battle Royal? Was that a real thrill for you?
Of course it was a thrill, because not only do you return back on a Legends contract, but you get an opportunity, not only on our biggest payday, but you get an opportunity to wrestle at WrestleMania 32 that becomes an indoor attendance record, meaning it will never, ever, ever be forgotten, like Pontiac Silverdome, WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 32 will always be remembered because, again, of the indoor attendance record. So it's an honor to be in the older era, the golden age of World Wrestling Federation, and still be able to get in that ring in WWE today and wrestle at WrestleMania 32. So very memorable for me too.
Yeah, I was there, and I remember I'm just like, wait, is that Tatanka? It was just, I couldn't believe it. And I think I read somewhere online, and I don't know if someone's told you this before, but it's believed that that's the longest gap that someone has ever gone between wrestling at one WrestleMania and another WrestleMania. And I think you have Steamboat by 2 years.
Oh, now I've never heard that, but that's absolutely awesome. Again, another honor. I mean, I'm very thankful. I have no injuries. I can go out there and wrestle just like 1990. Everywhere I wrestle right now today, every single building does the same thing. They start cheering, "You still got it. You still." So that's an honor, but I believe me, comes with hard work. I'm in the gym all the time. I'm doing my cardio, and I'm very thankful and gifted that I got native blood because, as I tell everybody, they look at me and go, "Tatanka, you don't age." I go, "Hey, Native Americans, we're like wine. We get better with age." Everyone starts cracking up and laughing. But I'm really blessed to be able to have native blood. I just thank God that I got longevity, But natives truly do have longevity in their bloodline.
Well, and you've been fantastic. I want to leave it with one more question. I'm really curious what you say because I think it's going to be a really good answer and something that the listeners are going to really enjoy. And that's, what's the most important thing that you've learned in your life?
Wow, that's a really loaded question, and we're looking for the big payoff here, aren't we? So that's a very loaded question. What I would tell you is this, and everyone knows me as a wrestler. I'm going to use my wrestling career, and I'm going to use everything that I know to help anyone out there listening. What I would tell you is when you have a dream, don't think that everyone's going to be for you. Even your closest friends, even the people that are close and dear to you, even your family members, like in my case, will be the ones, doesn't mean they're against you, but they're trying to protect you by saying, that's only a dream. I quit again, and a lot of people say they love this thing about me. I was a manager of Bally's Health in Tennis, a Fortune 500 company making a 6-digit income, being groomed for $250,000 a year. And I quit that job because I believed in myself strong enough. And I had the encouragement of a nature boy, Buddy Rogers, to get in this business. But at the end of the day, it was still left up to me. So I would tell everyone out there, do not listen to the naysayers. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's in your spirit, whatever you're believing, you can conquer it. The power is within you to conquer it. You don't need to have people to support you. You can be the only one standing, and you can be the one that will fulfill that dream and accomplish that dream that you have your heart set for. So don't get discouraged no matter what you're going through, because I've been through many tough times. There is no one in life that has not been through tough times. Rocky Balboa says it the best in his movie. There's nothing that's going to knock you down any harder than life. But what you got to do is you can't stay down. You got to get back up. So I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it because that's true life. True life, it's not easy. It's not the picture that everyone paints, the white picket fence, the beautiful house, everything going smooth, you have your pets. No, you have to fight for what you believe. Sometimes people are going to hurt you. Sometimes people are going to do things to you that it was not fair, but you cannot focus on those things. You got to be strong enough to resist it, to let it push off. Don't worry about the mistakes. We all make mistakes. The greatest people in the world, not even in our industry, made many mistakes. Mistakes help you get sharpened. Mistakes help you become better. Mistakes help you become the winner that you already are. So don't worry about your mistakes. Don't listen to the naysayers. Believe in your dreams. Like I said when I was signing pictures before World Wrestling Federation, my picture said, believe in yourself. So believe in yourself because God puts something special in each and every person. And each and every person can accomplish the greatest dream, whatever they desire. All you have to do is put the hard work ethic behind it. Don't expect for it to be given to you. Don't think it's going to come easy. But if you continue fighting, if you continue believing, and you continue pushing forward, you will win.
Wow, what a way to finish us off. Appreciate you sharing that and opening up a little bit. You were fantastic. I'm sure the listeners are going to absolutely love this. If it's okay with you, we'd love to have you back on the show sometime. At Native Tatanka on social media, nativetatanka.com. Tatanka, thank you so much. This was awesome.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. And I hope that we got a payoff on that last answer on the great podcast, The Payoff. I'm looking forward to doing it again, my friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Pleasure.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right. What'd you think?
Not bad. It kind of, it's okay. That's a better way to put it. Like, I didn't think the match was bad. I appreciate Tatanka being on, kind of sharing the stories and all that type of stuff. But I think that, they were telling a story. They knew what they wanted to do, and so that was okay. But the match itself, like there was a couple moments where it was all right, but overall, like it was perfectly fine for what it was, especially in the time that it was. It's just such a unusual, kind of time, in wrestling, kind of how they were handling some of the storylines and kind of doing some of that. But it was still good. What about you? What did you think?
I felt so the idea of turning him heel, and I liked it. The only thing I thought it was missing was I would have just turned it up more. Now, again, it's 1994, but a chair shot on the turn or a low blow on the turn, not wrestling moves. And that's where I feel this way about anytime there's a big confrontation in wrestling, a big heel turn, a big moment, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, steel chair.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm turning heel on you, I should super kick you and throw you through the barbershop window, not give you a Samoan drop and a clothesline.
Right.
So that's what I thought it was missing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, overall, it wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it, but it just kind of the time on this one. And so, but getting into what happened here in the aftermath on this one, of course, these two. And so it's revealed, as we now know, that this was a swerve on this one. It was actually Tatanka who turned on Luger and was joining the $1 Million Corporation. And so, this was a big part of the show really until he left WWE in 1996. But an interesting stat here: none of the wrestlers in the $1 Million Corporation won a championship while in the corporation. And so I thought that was just a fun little stat there to have. And so they actually continued to feud here, though. You had the Survivor Series match where they were both a part of in 1994. You had the $1 Million Team beating Guts and Glory. So it was Bam Bam Bigelow, Jimmy Del Rey, King Kong Bundy, Tatanka, and Tom Pritchard beating Adam Bomb, Bart Gunn, Billy Gunn, Lex Luger, and Mabel in a Survivor Series match. And so interesting. Not a great match. Again, there's not a whole lot of stars on that one, but that's okay. But so the kind of write-ups and the rankings on this one: Luger was 17 in 1994. Tatanka was 40. The torch on this one, it ended up being the highlight of the night was not played out, or what ended up being the highlight of the night was not as well played out as expected. While Luger delivered what would be expected, a somewhat plastic but honest attempt at executing an angle, Tatanka was too one-dimensional. Tatanka had to be more likable and less outraged leading into the angle for his turn to be infuriating. It was still good, but not nearly as enjoyable as I thought it would be when it actually played out. They gave it 2 stars on this one. The Observer newsletter on this one of a nothing match with a strong storyline. Started with a backstage interview where Tatanka once again accused Luger of selling out. As they were leaving, DiBiase told Tatanka to go back, and he did, and then used DiBiase's $1 million dream to lay Luger out and stuff money down Luger's throat. Luger was helped out 2 stars, half for the match, and the rest for the angle. So 2 stars, 2 stars. What are you doing this? What are you giving this one, Tom?
I have this at a 6. So it wasn't bad, but it could have been better.
Yep.
I like the idea of the swerve and the heel turn. Never would have thought that he would turn heel. So I thought that was really smart, and it's good to try this stuff. So yeah, I that's where I'm at. And again, I like what they were trying to do. But you can see the difference between 1994 and a 1997, 1998 and beyond of just the force by which you're doing these things.
Yeah.
And then, you know, imagine it, and maybe it would have been, you had more time on like TV than pay-per-view, but you know, grabbing the mic and saying something.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like you said, it was a product of the time. I'm giving this one a 5. It was perfectly fine for what it was, but it wasn't, like you said, like kind of, you know, stop you in your tracks, make, you know, go out of your way. We do appreciate Tatanka being here, though. We don't want to make it seem like we're not grateful for that. It was great to hear from him. We always love getting those kind of insights and kind of hearing from people who were there. Like, they're obviously going to tell the story for us. And so I'm right there with you. It's still really good, though, overall. Definitely one. And just enjoy it. It's wrestling, you know. This is when you and I were locked into it too, and so still really good overall, no matter what. So yeah, all right. So of course, don't forget manscaped.com. Make sure you're using that promo code payoff, getting you 20% off and free shipping. Everything in the store, everything in your cart. They got all kinds of stuff. I saw they had some new bundles as well too, so make sure to check that stuff out, like a new go bag and stuff like that. And so check that out. But yeah, other than that, Tom, I think where are we going next week? What do we got here? We're going to New Japan next week, and so that should be a fun one. Haven't done New Japan in a while.
Looking forward to it.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, as always, we appreciate you joining us in the payoff, and we'll see you next week.